Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
My name's James, aka FPL Drug.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
The fuck have you got behind you there?
Well, it's a funny story about this one. I completely forgot I bought this. So I was 14, going to my first Saints away game at West Brom, and I wanted a souvenir from the day, and I bought a West Brom flag.
I was going to say, for anyone just listening to the audio, that flag is fucking huge behind you there. And you are a Saints fan, right?
I am, yeah. I mean, West Brom are all right, but yeah, I've got no particular fondness of them, so it's a bit random. But yeah, there you go. Wolves listeners still listen to the pod. I'm not actually a West Brom fan.
Outrageous. I mean, you'll be sliding into Gemma Baggy's DMs pretty soon, talking about how sweet West Brom play.
Yeah, maybe she can now listen to the pod and share it if she doesn't already.
Well, no, avid West Brom fan behind you. It's one hell of a flag, but fair play for keeping that, seeing as you bought it 15 years ago now.
Yeah, no, it's just completely forgot I bought it, to be honest.
Nah, it took me by surprise, that's for sure. Right, well, talking of West Brom, let's jump straight into the games then, mate. And no doubt the reason why you've got that flag flying high is Chelsea 2, West Brom 5.
Yeah, wow. Shock of the season. I mean, if anything was to convince me to be a West Brom fan, it would be this result.
They'd like Barcelona.
Outrageous, yeah. Amazing goals as well. This was no fluke, obviously. I don't think many games where teams score 5 goals are flukes, but yeah, the quality of the goals is exceptional. I don't know if you've also noticed, it's Callum Robinson. He's only scored against Chelsea.
Yeah, all 5 of his Premier League goals have been against Chelsea.
They're going to hate the man.
Fucking love it. And he didn't even start. He came on after Ivanovic came on, basically pulled a muscle chasing Timo Werner after about 3 minutes, went off, and then Big Sam, tactical genius, decided to switch a defender for a forward, went 4 at the back, I think, from that point in, and then, Callum Robinson just ran the show at times.
Yeah, fair play to Big Sam. Obviously, Chelsea did have 10 men, so he went out to exploit that, and
he did, yeah.
It really paid off.
Did you think Thiago Silva second yellow was justified?
I think so.
Yeah, no, agreed. I've seen a bit of a discussion about it, but he flies out to block the shot. He isn't in control, and albeit goes to block it, but takes out his man in the process, and second yellow, first game back in 10 weeks is it that he missed? Plays half an hour and gets sent off. So
yeah, he's a fiery character.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, some of West Brom's goals were exceptional, and Pereira was unplayable at times. Obviously, 2 goals, 2 assists in this game. I've seen a lot of people coming out of the woodwork saying that he's been stuck on their bench, which, to be fair, playing against Chelsea, if you've got him, you probably were going to bench him this week. But what was it, 21 points or something that they've missed out on? It's another haul, and Pereira's got them in him, as we've seen. But yeah, from going 1-0 up, and then even Sam Johnson got a fucking assist in this game. So
unbelievable. Sat on my bench for the last week. I'm shipping him out on my wild card. I'm downgrading him, but yeah, an unexpected assist for him.
That's how he repays you, mate. He gets 5 saves, gets an assist. Just waves goodbye. But Timo Werner, what do you make of the man? Obviously, Tuchel came out with that really weird statement that Werner needs to treat his game like a woman. So if you're chasing her, you got to back off a little and let the woman come to you, as if he's expecting him to get his goals. But once again, looked so short of confidence. And even the assist that he got for Mount, he fucks up the chance and then just about makes the right decision to play it across to Mount. I don't know what's going on, but I can't see his confidence, being improved anytime soon if he's continuously being played in games where he's making mistakes and not taking the chances that he gets.
Yeah, I mean, the contrast in his confidence from like, obviously playing in Germany to now in the Premier League is huge. I think although his luck hasn't been particularly good, like the amount of times he's hit the woodwork or narrowly hit it wide is quite a lot. But yeah, you can't keep missing these chances. Like I feel like Tammy Abraham or Giroud, if they were playing and had the same chances, they'd be putting at least 60% of those away.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, something needs to change, and whether it's getting the right players alongside Werner, I'm not sure. It's come out in the news that Pulisic, his hamstring has gone again. So obviously he got his start in this game, but I don't think we'll be seeing him for a few games to come at least. So whether they make a tactical change up top, we'll have to wait and see. But a lot of us jumped on the Chelsea defensive bandwagon, both in FPL and Sky, and West Brom purely put two fingers up to that, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, they definitely did. I mean, couldn't have gone much worse. I think we're all talking about this nailed-on clean sheet. Oh yeah, get your Chelsea defenders in, double up.
I know. We even spoke about Rudiger on the last pod, and where the fuck was he?
Yeah, well, he was my transfer in. Didn't even bloody play. And who gets auto subbed in? Dawson, also on 0 points. Yeah, beautiful, absolute mate. Bullshit.
Absolutely beautiful.
Sat there in the first slot.
What happens when you bench Watkins?
Yeah, you jammy bastard.
Yeah, we'll come on to that later.
All right. Dear, but yeah. I can't remember what I was saying. We'll move on.
Fuck it, let's move on. Right, Leeds 2, Sheffield United 1 in a game in which Aaron Ramsdale made 7 saves.
Yeah, unusual for him. Normally just go straight in.
Hey.
Strong performance from Leeds. As you'd expect, maybe not as much of a commander performance as you'd expect, really, to be honest. A lot of people were sort of punting on Rafinha, which I don't blame you. And he's got a return. However, obviously, as we discussed in the fixture swings, Leeds' fixture somewhat turn after this fixture. So I expect a lot of people to be shipping them out either on a wild card or using their transfers because it's a tough run.
It is, yeah, until the last 4 games, which I think you'll probably want at least double Leeds back in. But I'm in that dilemma at the moment because I've got triple Leeds, and obviously I'm without a wild card now. So I'm stuck at the moment with Dallas, Rafinha, Bamford, and I've got some thinking to do because I'm not sure I want to ship out Rafinha. He's a man on form, and I think he can create chances and score goals against anyone. I might look to move on Bamford and maybe Ollie Watkins, but my biggest dilemma at the moment is obviously a man we'll come on to later is Jota, because Rafinha to Jota I think is a move that's screaming out for a lot of people. It's whether I can justify getting rid of Rafinha for 4 game weeks to then bring him back without the wild card. I'm not sure if it's worth the hit, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah,
that is a tricky one for yourself. Obviously, you can bench some of the assets, but you can't really bench all 3. No. So, yeah, it's a case of, I guess, evaluating, is it more important getting the players out that you don't want or getting in Jota who you do want?
Yeah.
If you really want Jota, then you take out Rafinha. But if that's not as much of a concern, yeah, you get rid of Dallas or Bamford.
Exactly. Yeah, I need to have a proper look at it because I'm tempted, obviously, to move on Bamford just because I've got real good value tied up in Rafinha now, and he's still such a cheap asset anyway. Whereas Bamford, I think Rafinha is more likely, in my opinion, to return more often than Bamford, particularly in some of these tougher games, just because he's creating the chances as well as putting them away, whereas obviously Bamford prefers to be on the end of them. So we saw Bamford go off in this game, whereas Rafinha was the one that returned. And I saw a lot of people, like you say, captain both Rafinha and Bamford this week, and it was unfortunate against a team that's completely out of form. Ramsdale was one of the men on form, and managed to keep out Leeds this week.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting week. But yeah, I mean, I nearly contemplated keeping Rafinha on my wild card, just because of the turn at the end. I know I'm going to want him back.
Yeah.
He could just sit there on the bench in the meantime. But I think what I'm going to do is not have him and bring him in when I need him.
Yeah, it's a tough one
Because he
because
could get
obviously,
injured.
well, yeah, exactly. That's the big thing for you, obviously being on wildcard, and the very fact that their next 3 fixtures are Man City, Liverpool, Man United. Then they've got that nice run, in my opinion, at the end: Brighton, Tottenham, Burnley, Southampton, West Brom. So yeah, those 3 fixtures, if you're on a wild card, you'd probably look to avoid and then bring them back in with your transfer. So I don't blame you at all. All right, let's move on to the third game of the game week, and a game week that saw Pep once again rotate heavily. And I think this is something we're going to expect whilst they're in still all 4 competitions. And it was Leicester 0, Man City 2.
Very impressed with the keeping of a clean sheet away at Leicester.
Yeah.
We know City are strong defensively, but I think this is the first sort of big test they've had in a while. And it's a shame, obviously, as a Stones and Diaz owner, to not get the double clean sheet.
At least you got one.
But at least I got one. That is the advantage of kind of why you own 2. So you know you get one of them. But I think Stones will be leaving my team on wildcard. I think he's playing every other game, it feels like, at the moment.
I know, it's a real tough one because obviously they've got the Champions League game tonight. So we're recording on Tuesday the 6th. I think, the likes of Gundogan, Stones, Sterling, if they're all playing tonight, and even Cancelo, they're again a real worry for that game against Leeds at the weekend. And it's just frustrating as obviously an FPL owner that you don't know really whether to stick or twist, because they've also got that blank game week coming up. For me, I took out Cancelo this week, brought an Aspilicueta. That went well. But I think it's holding the right Man City assets. In all honesty, I think the only one I'd want to be on the only 2 is Diaz and Kevin De Bruyne. I think everyone's at risk, and to be fair, De Bruyne is probably just as at risk because Pep will not want that man to get injured between now and the end of the season. So if he has a cracking game this evening against Dortmund, isn't it? If he has a brilliant game then, but plays the full 90, tires himself out, is he going to be needed against Leeds, or will they play the likes of Gundogan in that spot? You just don't know, but it's a risk that you have to take if you're going to go Man City, and we all know what Pep's like. And given they are in 4 competitions still, I think it's going to be the same probably till the end of the season.
Yeah, I'd echo that, to be honest. When I was sort of crafting my wild card, rotation was very much in my mind when it came to City, and I've only got 1 City player in my wildcard team, which is obviously Diaz, who I already own, and I've got value locked up in him, and he's the kind of most nailed on player other than Ederson in the entire team, I'd say.
Agreed. Yeah. Obviously Ederson is one, but I don't think many people have gone that way in terms of goalkeeper, not an FPL.
No, and obviously Kevin De Bruyne is now nearly reaching 12 million. He's like 11.9, and for that amount of money with that amount of sort of potential uncertainty, I don't think it's worth it. And he's not looked as strong as he has been in previous seasons. He's looked good, don't get me wrong. He's still scoring some amazing goals, but it's just not as frequent, his returns.
The bowl that he plays through in the game against Leicester, I don't think any other midfielder can play that type of splitting pass. Just 2 or 3 Leicester midfielders and defenders that it went through, none of them could get a touch on it. It's that kind of ball that you want De Bruyne for. And when he's on form, he can provide absolute worldy goals, but pinpoint passes at the same time, and that's why you want him as an asset. And I think that's why he's undoubtedly the best Man City player at the moment. Right, let's move on.
He's up there with Wally from ChampMan.
Yeah, well, we'll get on to Wally. All right, let's move on. So it was, in fairness, a bit of a surprise given the form, but it was Arsenal 0, Liverpool 3.
Yeah, I thought this would be a tighter game, to be honest. did not really expect Liverpool to be as commanding as they did against Arsenal. Trent's looking very strong. One that I'm looking at for my wild card, but it's just whether I can sort of fit him in, because obviously he is quite a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, Kabak, Phillips, I mention them every week, mate, but that Liverpool run and those Liverpool clean sheets, they could be worth a little punt.
He may or may not be in my team.
Oh, here we go. After completely dismissing them last week.
Oh, he's still playing, isn't he?
Yeah, I think they'll play till the end of the season. In fairness, unless Van Dijk, recovers for the last couple of games, which I don't think he will from suggestions. I think they're probably the two nailed centre backs now. But
yeah, I'd agree with that. I doubt they'd risk Van Dijk as well, rushing him back.
No, exactly. Whereas quite a tight affair for a period of time, and then Diogo Jota comes on, changes the game in my opinion.
Yes, he's almost sometimes better off the bench than he is when he starts. He's such a talent. Like the energy, it's almost like he's fucked off that he's been benched.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like so many people were moaning that obviously he wasn't in the starting lineup, and a lot of people gambled on him this week. But I think it was Lucy Hynett touched on the fact that he's almost, like you say, occasionally better off the bench anyway, because he's such an impact sub, and he comes on and it's his pace, his tenacity. Tired defenses can't deal with him, and he's in the right place at the right time. Got himself a couple of goals. Obviously, Mo Salah finally fucking returned and got a goal there, which was nice. But all in all, I think out of any of those attacking assets from Liverpool, I'd probably want to be on Jota now, because even if he doesn't start games, he's going to get minutes, and I think he's going to get goals.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be confident even if he does get benched. I'll be almost happy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the fact, it's his value at the end of the day. He's 6.8 million, only 10% owned in the game at the moment. So for that kind of value, it's similar, I guess, to Foden, that if he is rested occasionally, you've then got the value there to have a better backup anyway. So I expect a lot of wildcard squads are going to look quite balanced when you've got assets like Jota available. That your fifth midfielder, for instance, could be a really good impact sub that can get you points off the bench and will occasionally give you benching headache.
I think, it's between him and Lingard that are the best players in that price range.
Yeah, Jesse Lingard. What?
What a man.
I know. We'll touch on him later, but yeah, what a man. And like you said, obviously Trent is a big talking point at the moment. Even Robbo to an extent, but both in the bonus points this week. Trent obviously with 3 bonus got himself the assist, which was very tidy and almost trying to prove a point to Gareth Southgate, I think.
Yeah, well, I said myself that he should have never been dropped. I think he's good enough for the squad. Like whether he plays in the first team, that's another thing. But that sort of delivery that he showed on against Arsenal shows why he should be in that squad. And I think he's getting closer to sort of.
Hey.
The flags just come down.
I was going to say, for those listening,
is this
the flags
a sign
just
that West
come
Brom
down.
are going to go down?
Oh, it might be, mate. It might be. Oh.
But yeah, I think Trent might get back. He should definitely get beyond the plane in the summer. I think Southgate will change his mind on that one.
I think it was probably a bit of a kick up the arse for Trent, to be honest, but I expect him to at least be in that squad. Right, let's jump on to Sunday's first game. And in fairness, I actually missed the first 2 goals in this game. I was playing my first Sunday league game in about 4.5 months. We drew 2-2. My legs are still sore. But I came back to see Saints 2-0 down, and then turns out Southampton 3, Burnley 2.
Yeah, fantastic game. Real sort of spectacle, which I don't think the neutral would have expected. They would have probably gone, Southampton, Burnley, I'm not watching that.
Yeah.
I'll just watch the other games. But fantastic. Not so great first half for us, bless us. Well, first half of the first half, I'd say. We obviously went behind to a good goal from Vidra, and And Wood, I mean, Vidra's looking quite good recently. He's scored in consecutive games, I think. And he's obviously a very cheap striker, 4.8 million. I mean, you'd be looking at him on a wildcard potentially, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I was going to say he enjoys scoring against us. Yeah, he scored game week 26 against Leicester. Got an assist against Everton game week 28, and then scored against us game week 30. So he's he's had a little bit of form recently, and he's getting minutes now. So again, one of those players that I expect in wildcard teams might just pop up in quite a few.
Yeah, and I think as will maybe Danny Ings could be potentially an option for some people. May have more money now with sort of the likes of Jota and Lingard being available. Obviously, Saints are going to have an extra fixture. I think there's a double projected by Ben Crellin.
We've still got Crystal Palace to be rearranged. So where that gets slotted in, not 100% sure. I can't remember Ben Crellin's schedule, but we're likely to have a double. So Crystal Palace at home
next. Decent fixtures. So
exactly. And Spurs away, as proven, anyone can score against Spurs at the moment. So I think it's not games to be sniffed at. And even though there's a lot of red in our fixture ticker, I think for a player like Danny Ings, we've got Leicester and Liverpool after that blank of 33, but Fulham, Leeds, West Ham, Crystal Palace, they're all games that you can target for Ingsy.
Definitely. I mean, I don't think Ings gave a fuck about FDR last year. He scored against anyone and everyone.
Exactly.
So if he can get back to that kind of form, then why not put him in?
Well, yeah, and I think with his recent injuries, he's definitely fallen down the pecking order for Southgate's England team. So, with the likes of obviously DCL not really hitting form at the moment, if things can step it up in these final 8-9 game weeks, he's surely going to, at least try and get his foot in the door on that play and improve a point. And he might be one of these ideal. He won't start, but he'll be an ideal impact substitute, for the likes of Harry Kane if you want to try and attack a game or get a goal, because he's so clinical.
I know I'm biased, but I'd much rather have Ings on that plane than DCL. Yeah. I think in terms of goal scoring ability, Ings can score inside the box, outside the box. He can dribble, he can take a man on. Whereas I think DCL's a bit more sort of limited.
Agreed.
He's just like a good poacher.
Yeah, exactly. And then, talking about those England strikers, let's move on to the next game. And it was Newcastle 2, Harry Kane 2.
Well, both of us were delighted, obviously, as were the majority of people in FPL who captained Harry Kane.
EO was something like 160%.
Yeah, it was. I think very much like if you owned him, you were going to captain him. So it did make sense. I feel sorry for the people that took a risk, but I don't think it was the right week to take a risk when Harry Kane's playing Newcastle. It's kind of got goals written all over it. So hard luck, but that's FPL for you.
No, exactly. I know, we can chat captain hindsight and all that stuff, but like you say, as soon as I saw the likes of Son and stuff were fit, even though he didn't start, neither Son nor Bale were in that starting lineup, and then we both exchanged messages before the game saying, "Shit, I'm a bit worried as a Kane owner now." Looking at that starting lineup, but it was the same starting lineup that played Villa, and obviously got the win. And then at half time, obviously Sonny was brought on for Vinicius, but Kane just does what Kane does and pulls Spurs out of a hole. Yeah, they obviously Newcastle pulled it back late, scored to be fair a well-deserved equaliser because Spurs were woeful at times. They really struggle to kill a game, and they struggle to just close it out if they've got a lead at the moment. And Mourinho made these snarky comments about same manager, different team, and all that bollocks, but he's fighting a losing battle at the moment, and he's losing Spurs fans left, right, and centre. I think most of the Spurs fans I know and talk to around Twitter hate him now. And if they were allowed to be in the ground, I think their voices would be heard.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I don't know if he's trying to deflect blame or attention from the players to himself with comments like that. Either that or it's just a bit of a shit comment to make. I don't think if I was a player, I don't think I'd be happy with him saying that. What's that going to do for the morale?
Well, exactly. And he came out and he questioned Toby Alderweireld, then questioned Ndombele and about the fact that he can't get into the French squad. But he says that's on Ndombele because he's arguably, one of the best midfielders available, but he's got to prove that. And he has a habit of targeting players when he's in the shit, and it never ends well. So, to be honest, I'm expecting Mourinho to not be Spurs manager next season.
I think I'd agree with that. I think Levy is very sort of sound business mind, and I think he sort of will be able to tell that like his kind of days are numbered. I think like it's just not their performances aren't inspiring at all.
No,
It's
exactly.
just very dull.
Yeah, you don't go into these Spurs games. Yeah, they had that little run where obviously they were smashing teams, but they weren't the greatest of teams. In fairness, they've come up against tougher opponents, struggled, and now even Newcastle are finding ways to pull a game back when they look like they want it more. And it was a completely different Newcastle performance to that game against Brighton that I watched. And I guess as a Newcastle fan, it's good to see. Whether it's going to be enough, who knows? It's down to Fulham, obviously, to keep slipping up at the moment to allow Newcastle to maybe try and build a bit of a gap. But it's still going to be a tough run to the end of the season. And with some of those fixtures, obviously they've got Burnley this weekend, but after that, West Ham, Liverpool, Arsenal, Leicester, Man City in a row. Wow, like you're relying on the final two fixtures, Sheffield United and Fulham. If it's still close, Newcastle are going to need probably 2 wins from those 2 games.
I think, and they obviously need Callum Wilson back. It feels a little bit reminiscent of Jack Grealish, really. It feels like he's due back each week.
I know,
But obviously, Joel Linton, credit to him, scored a decent goal.
Well. Yeah,
and I think he does a lot for the team off the ball as well. He's quite good at holding the ball up. But yeah, if he can add actually scoring goals to his game, then that would be much needed for Newcastle.
Oh, for sure. And obviously Dwight Gale finally got a start. Looked quite sharp. No idea how he didn't score in the first thing. It was first 10 minutes, I think. Obviously goes through on goal. Lloris makes the save. Dwight Gale then gets on the rebound. Somehow manages to slot it to the point where Lloris can effectively land on it. And it doesn't go in, but yeah, I bet Dwight Gale was kicking himself at halftime. Right, let's jump on to Aston Villa 3, Fulham 1.
Yeah, good performance from the Villa, and I mean they went up goal down, didn't they, in this game?
Yeah. Mitrovic scored. I was buzzing a little bit because I had Matty Targett on the bench anyway, so I didn't really mind that. And then I brought in a Fulham defender in Sky, which we'll talk about later, and it was looking quite a nice little clean sheet. Good performance for Fulham. Good win. And then Trezeguet changed the game for Villa.
Yeah, good brace from Trezeguet. I thought you were going to be worried with Areola on your bench as well, but Villa did come through. I feel sad to be getting rid of Martinez on my wild card. With that fixture run,
yeah,
I think you could have guessed that I would be getting rid of him. It's just a question of obviously who I've brought in. Will let that be a surprise for you. I'm sure there's three others you think I've probably got.
Still not catching me, mate. Fine.
Oh, I'll try.
Yeah, like you said, Martinez obviously got 6 saves Fulham should have been out of sight before Villa managed to come back in this one. And they let themselves down at the end of the day. They had an opportunity to pick up a massive 3 points after obviously Newcastle managed to grab a point against Spurs, and they didn't take it. I mean, Mitrovic made a difference for Fulham. Looked quite sharp. As usual, his typical bullyish self that gets himself about, gets his goal, took it really well. But yeah, a mistake from Adarabioyo kind of let Villa back into the game, and from then they just ran on. Obviously, Watkins got a goal, Trezeguet got 2 goals there. It's a tough one to take for Scotty Parker.
Yeah, it is. He'd have been frustrated having taken the lead to throw it away. Very Southampton-esque of Fulham. But yeah, no, I still feel confident in Fulham as a team. I feel they've got more about them than Newcastle for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like you said, that fixture on it doesn't look great. Even with the game in hand, I think it's Everton that they've got there. They've got effectively the top 5. They've still to play Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Tottenham, Chelsea. It's tough. I mean, if anyone can keep those clean sheets, it's Martinez, mate. So hopefully he makes you regret getting him or getting rid of him. But yeah, I think I'm stuck with the man for the end of the season now.
I mean, I had a lot of value tied up in him. It was hard to get rid of him, to be honest. No, I had regret the day after.
Right, let's jump on to the final game of the Sunday, and it was Man United 2, Brighton 1.
Very good game. Quite surprised to obviously see Danny Welbeck opening the scoring.
I know.
Good goal from him, and they'll need those sort of performances to sort of assure themselves of survival, because they are down there. It's not against, like, they could definitely go down. They could get sucked into it. But yeah, credit to Danny Welbeck. It was a good goal. Also, obviously, United obviously worked their way back into the game. Bruno playing particularly well. Surprised they didn't. The player that fouled him when he got the assist didn't get a card. Right, there was no action taken there because he kind of got absolutely wiped out.
Awful tackle. No idea how it wasn't a yellow. And then I'm pretty sure Cavani then gets booked for like remonstrating with the referee. It was Mike Dean, wasn't it? Obviously, goes up to him.
It was, yeah.
Of course it was. Explains why, why hasn't he been booked for that, and then gets booked himself. But yeah, terrible tackle.
Yep, absolutely horrendous. But yeah, United are showing that kind of resolve. Like, I mean, without Man City in the league, they'd be top of the league. Obviously, I think they're the best of the rest, so to speak.
Yeah, at the moment they definitely are.
I think like next they could build for a title challenge.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, I still think they need an out-and-out striker. Obviously, Martial's injured now till I think the end of the season. Cavani hasn't really stepped up as much as what we thought. Mason Greenwood is an interesting proposition. I think he's just getting better and better. And then next season, I mean, we obviously said this last season. We thought this season could be, the season he comes out. I think next season could be an even bigger and better season for him. And he's such an unbelievable talent that Man United have really got to kind of cherish that and not let it go, because I think for him to develop alongside the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, it can only do him good in terms of his career and his progression. And if he could potentially become that front runner for Man United, I think they could really go places.
I think so, and I think he'd link up really well if they were to bring him back. Obviously, Jesse Lingard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's going to be the debate of the summer, I think, because obviously Lingard's been completely not even recognised, I guess, at Man United in the last couple of seasons. Has obviously gone to West Ham, and it's just hit the ground running. And we seem to be talking about his performances week in, week out at the moment. We'll touch on West Ham shortly, but yeah, if Lingard goes back to Man United, I think it only improves that squad now. But whether he gets used in the right way, I'm not so sure.
Well, I think Jesse himself has got a big decision to make, because obviously, does he go back and then potentially get frozen out again? Or he's really happy, obviously, at West Ham. Maybe he want to stay there.
Potentially, yeah. I think
especially if they get Champions League football.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a massive decision this summer, I think, for him. It'll be interesting to see what way they go. But you rightly touched on the fact that, albeit we believe Brighton are safe, their fixtures aren't the greatest until between now and the end of the season. Like, the only team I think in the bottom half of the table, other than the Leeds, they play is Sheffield United. Obviously, Leeds is a tricky game, but they still play Everton, Chelsea, Wolves, West Ham, Man City, and Arsenal. Now, yeah, they've got the resolve in there, but they're going to need to pick up the odd point here or there, I think, to secure safety. Because, say Fulham pick up 2 wins and a couple of draws in the next 6 games, then yeah, you're really looking at it and thinking, shit, like that's a problem. But I still think they'll be safe, but they've really got to get a performance, particularly say against Everton this weekend. If they can come away with a win, yeah, that's them. They're fine.
Yeah, it's a tough run for them, and the sooner the better with regards to picking up the points. Obviously, yeah, don't throw any Brighton players in for the meantime.
God, no. Right, and then let's jump on to the first game of last night. And well, it wasn't the best game to watch, to be honest. It was Everton 1, Crystal Palace 1.
Well, the guy that most people would have been wanting or hoping across the fantasy games to score would have been DCL. And it's another blank for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, is it? Yeah, they've got sort of like doubles coming up and stuff, but is it worth it? Is it worth keeping DCL for I don't think it is.
No, it's a debate I'm having with myself. And again, I'm envious of you wildcarders, because even with the possible double, I still don't like the look of most of these fixtures. And Everton at the moment are proving that they've only got 1, maybe 2 goals in them. And DCL just isn't performing at the moment. So, albeit, he's getting shots away. I think he hit shots here in Sky, but he's not putting the chances away. And there are better options at the moment out there, better, cheaper alternatives,
yeah,
some would argue.
Agreed. Like, yeah, when you've got players sort of in form, such as Iheanacho, you've got
even Che Adams.
There's plenty of other players. Yeah, Che Adams. Yeah, Che Adams is looking better informed player than what's his name, DCL. Yeah. And also, I was actually quite surprised to see Che Adams benched. I was quite disappointed, actually.
I think
obviously Inks stepped up, but I think it was a bit harsh on Adams.
I think it was purely on the basis that Redmond, Walcott, and Ings had the international break to kind of rest, train, recover, like with the team. Whereas obviously Che was away with Scotland, played an impact, I think, in all 3 of Scotland's games. So that was probably one of the reasons why Che was rested at the weekend. But it was nice, just touching back on Saints, it was nice to see that we had a bit of depth on the bench for once. Obviously, we had Minamino on the bench, Gineppo on the bench, Che Adams on the bench. It's finally we're starting to get these players back from injury, and it can only do as well till the end of the season, hopefully.
Yeah, it was great. It was great to see, not just a sea of youngsters on there. Yeah. You actually recognise.
Yeah, there was a real lack of 16-year-olds on our bench for once. Right, and then let's jump on to the final game of the weekend, and actually ended up being a cracker. It was Wolves 2, West Ham 3.
A fantastic game. I was worried for a moment that West Ham were going to throw this one away as well.
Same.
Obviously, 3-0 up, and Wolves brought it back to 3-2. Sort of reminiscent of the who's against the 3-3 draw? Arsenal, yeah. But yeah, credit to West Ham. They held out, and what a performance from Jesse Lingard! Sensational,
unbelievable.
I don't know if it was just him playing well, but also the Wolves defenders seem to be very static.
Yeah.
It looks just effortless. It looked like a team of shit, like a shit five-a-side team playing against like a sort of semi-pro team coming down to goals and just running rings around them.
I know that first half, West Ham were all over Wolves. Yeah, I was worried for them even in the second half, but annoyingly we saw Glass hamstrings go off injured again. Mikel Antonio. I don't know how serious it is, whether it is his hamstring. At one point, it looked like he even wanted to continue. He took his gloves off as he walked off. Then he seemed to put his gloves back on and try and like tell David Moyes, no, I want to carry on. I want to carry on. And then obviously Jared Bowen was getting stripped and ready to come on. So off he went. And then Bowen came on and scored anyway. But it's frustrating because I don't own Antonio in FPL, but I've got him in Sky. And we'll talk about those decisions, but that Lingard Antonio decision just before the Man United game is massive, and most of us went Antonio.
Yeah, I mean, I did myself in Sky. I obviously also captained him for this game, so was pretty pissed off to see him going off, taking his gloves off, putting them back on again, taking them back off again.
I know.
It makes you want to never go back to him, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's frustrating, and in fairness, this game was kind of heavily focused around injuries. Even at the start of the game, obviously Declan Rice looks to be out for the rest of the season for West Ham, going to be touch and go for the Euros. And then Johnny for Wolves, I think he's done his ACL again. Got a feel for the guy, didn't it in training. So that's going to be a massive miss for Wolves. There was all sorts of rumours going around before the game, and then I think the Athletic confirmed it. But yeah, obviously missing from the squad, and yeah, that's going to be a huge loss. But then even during the game, Souček looked to have picked up an injury. Lingard at the very end was struggling massively. Whether it was cramp, might have been, but he looked to have picked up a bit of a knock or muscular problems. So it's going to be an interesting week, particularly for those press conferences towards the end of the week, just to really see if any of these players are longer term absentees or whether it's just a couple of days rest and then back to training.
Agreed. Like I'm thankful I'm on my wild card because I'll be able to sort of see where the land lies, say on Thursday night, just to see if anyone's come through the European games. Obviously, whether Lingard's fit, like he may be struggling. We don't know. He could have just been cramped, but maybe there's a more sort of serious strain there. He could be out for the next game.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. That's for sure. So, moving on to our FPL teams then. How did your team get on this week?
It was a green arrow. We got 65 points and a decent showing from a squad. Harry Kane, mainly to thank, captaincy with 26. Yeah. Lingard on 12. Rafinha and Fernandes returning the midfield with a combined sort of 11 points. Now, what really fucked me off was Son and Bale getting 1 point each. I was obviously hoping that Bale wouldn't come on. So to see him come on with the last couple of minutes, just basically to just take a free kick and try and win the game, was pretty fucking annoying because obviously I've got Ollie Watkins with 7 points sat on my bench. But all in all, I can't complain. I've got a green arrow and I'm up to 355k.
Not bad at all. Yeah, I had a pretty decent game week. Ended up on 70 points, so another green arrow up to 65k. I think I am overall. Very similar players to you, to be honest, except I've got Salah rather than Bruno. Got 8 points, and then yeah, to be fair, I was quite jammy when Gundogan and Stones obviously both missed out, and it led to Ollie Watkins making his way into my team with the 7 points. So it's nice to get a bit of jam for once, mate.
Yeah, I just wish it wasn't you.
So you're obviously wildcarding this week. Now, I'm not expecting you to tell me your squad because one, it won't be firm right now anyway. But is there any particular players that you think are nailed and that you might recommend other wildcarders to be looking at and jumping on?
That's a good question. With regards to nailed, I think you'd at the very least want one of Jota and Lingard.
Yeah.
Maybe even both of them. I think at the prices, I mean, Lingard in particular, he's starting and he's even cheaper than Jota. So I'd fancy Lingard regardless of any fixtures. I think Lingard's a great pick to enable you to have some more value in your team.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Obviously, if you're looking for a cheapie, regardless of whether he plays, Phillips for Liverpool, 4 million. They've been keeping clean sheets the last couple of games.
They have, yeah.
I think, yeah, regardless of whether you want to play him, bring him in because of how cheap he is. One I've been looking at myself is obviously Vidra for sort of a 1 weeker. You can then just bench him after that. So they've got Newcastle at home, which is obviously a very good fixture. And he's been on form.
Yeah.
And you fancy anyone against Newcastle?
How much is Vidra?
4.8 million.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Then obviously it enables a 3-5-2. After this game week, you can play him in this game week. Obviously, you don't want to be benching him against Newcastle, but then it gives you that ability to do a 3-5-2 with quite a strong sort of midfield. You can have, say, a Jota or a Lingard in there. You can have a pick of Salah or KDB and Bruno. You could probably get 2 of those.
Yeah, I expect you probably can.
But I personally I'm not going near KDB, as I mentioned earlier. I'm quite happy with Diaz, but last night I would have told you before the game to get a Wolves defender, but after that performance, I'm not so sure. They've got a great run of fixtures.
They do,
but it's tricky. Do you go the form? Do you go the fixtures? On form, you wouldn't touch him.
No, it's tough. Obviously, we're going to jump onto Sky in a sec, but the Martinez to Patricio move was one that a lot of people were speaking about, and even I was considering it really strongly, to be fair, for the last few weeks. And then I just looked at my squad, and I was actually 0.2 million out anyway for the moves I would then wanted to make in the future. So I ended up going for a Fulham defender. I've gone for Adarabioyo rather than moving to Patricio, and I'm just going to hold Martinez purely because of those safeties. Even if they concede, I think he will probably hit save tier 2 in most of these games. He's a good shot stopper, so I think that will hold. Whether it's the right move, we'll find out. And obviously, I think that big game this Friday is going to be the telling point, really, whether I've got that decision right. Obviously, Fulham play Wolves. There'll be a lot on Patricio captaincy, and there'll be a few of us on Fulham defenders. So that'll be the big one, I think. But jumping onto Sky then, how was the game week for you?
It was okay. So my better team had a good week. It got 94 points.
Nice.
Which sees me sort of maintain my rank of like 2.3, 2.4k. Kane obviously was a big part of that. Diaz, Martinez, Højbjerg and Neto sort of ticking over. I've got 8 points from Rafinha, who I then replaced with Neto because I needed captaincy coverage for the Wolves fixtures that are coming up. So yeah, it's looking all right in that team. I've got a couple of million in the bank. The only thing I am low on though is transfers.
Yeah,
I'm on four transfers.
Ooh, squeaky bum down.
I'd like to get rid of John Stones as well, so then I'd have 3.
It's tough, isn't it?
It is. Obviously, the transfer out of John Stones are used for potentially like a future captaincy day, or say an informed player to target. So I'm going to be. Obviously, I get the team news for Manchester City Leeds. So if he plays, I'll keep him for this week at least, and then potentially move him on. But
I think my general advice would be, we can see the April fixtures all the way through now. Only make the moves that are necessary to cover captaincies if you think it's key captaincies. But I'd try and hold those 4 transfers until we get the May fixtures, because there might be the odd surprise, which you'll need transfers for, which will allow you to gain rank. So for me, I'm not really planning to make any moves now until the Leicester game, for instance, because I don't have any Leicester coverage. So that'll be the next transfer or 2 that I make. But then I'm ideally looking to have at least 6 or 7 going into those May fixtures.
Yeah, so that's a good point. And I've just seen that obviously Antonio is in that team as well.
Yeah, that's the problem I've got at the moment. But
I hope he's back.
well, yeah, that's the thing. Gotta hope he's back, because even if he misses out against Leicester, the run of fixtures after that just look so good for Antonio as an attacking asset. Newcastle, Burnley, Brighton, West Brom, Saints, Everton, they're all in there. All well worth attacking. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's not particularly a move that I want to be rushing into. If he gets 0 points this weekend, so be it. I'm going to hold him unless we get confirmed news from Moyes that it's a torn hamstring. Then yeah, I think he's got to go.
Yeah, team one of my team didn't do particularly well. 68 points, and that slid down to 7k. But what I am enjoying and having a bit of fun with is my third team.
Yeah.
So that got 122 points.
Nice.
Which I'm pretty happy about. The punt on Danny Ings paid off. I had Kane, Bruno, Richarlison. I thought he did nothing, but he actually got shot tier 2, and I captained him for that game. I've had Rafinha, Watkins in that team, and I think I'm crawling up that season keeper's third team league.
I think you are, yeah. You're doing all right. I think proof that you don't actually need any transfers. Obviously, I've got my first. Let's start with the first team. So it wasn't the best of weeks. I got 89 points in my main team. It's dropped me down to 57th overall, which is frustrating, but I don't seem to be losing ground on that top 10, which is still the ideal. It's just others around me are making moves that are obviously making gains, which is understandable. There's some good players still around that top 100 that are climbing, so good to see. My second team is the team that I talk about. I've got no transfers left, so obviously I had that one transfer left at Overhaul. I made the move and I brought in Jesse Lingard for Jack Grealish finally this week. I've been holding Grealish because I've been told by fucking Dean Smith week in, week out, yeah, he's coming back. Did he fuck? So Grealish is gone and Lingard came in for the captaincy. So I got 118 points in that team. It's got no transfers left now though. So the squad I've got is the squad that it's stuck at. But it's climbed from 250th to 139th in the last couple of weeks.
Wow. That is a big climb.
That's without making moves. So this one move with Lingard, has obviously seen a pretty decent climb. Just going to have to see if I've got coverage because, for instance, this Friday don't have any Fulham or Wolves, so I'm going to lose out there. But yeah, it'll be interesting. And yeah, my third team having a bit of fun, like you say. Got 112 points in that one. I am slowly running out of transfers in that, though. I've not really judged it properly. I think I've only got 14 left, which is...
Oh, wow, really?
A bit of a concern. Yeah, mate, I was spunking so many transfers to start with.
I've got 22.
Yeah, I've just been an idiot at times. Like, for instance, this weekend, I brought in Thiago Silva, thinking, absolutely nailed. And then I've had to take him out straight away because he's obviously going to be suspended. So got rid of him. Guess who I brought in?
Who?
Anderson, Fulham, -1. Even better.
Oh, dear.
Fucking joke, honestly. So, yeah, those kind of decisions are going against me in that third team. But I don't stand a chance of winning the money league. So it's just going to be the odd punt here or there, I think. But, yeah, let's jump on to ChampMan then. And obviously, we've got another big game week ahead of us this Thursday. I haven't really had time to properly digest the kind of sim data video on YouTube. I've watched a little bit of it between, the puppy being very ill, which I won't go into. But yeah, kept us up all night, which was frustrating. And then getting back to work, it's been quite busy. But I've seen the leak. That was an interesting one, obviously, seeing the benches. And there was a really good thread in the Discord, which I can't remember who put it there, so apologies, but it summarized it really well of who we believe will then be starting. And it seems to be quite normal throughout, to be honest. And it looks like a tough week to predict anyway. I've got Southgate, obviously, suspended and Hughes injured. So I've only got one bench player and I'm still stuck with those two Spurs assets. So for me, I might look to bring Larson back for Rebrov. And it will then allow Viduka to be moved on potentially that next week for Thierry Henry. Obviously, once Viduka has his suspension, and then Arsenal's fixtures look quite tasty. So that's my thinking at the moment. How about you?
Me, there's quite a few players that I wouldn't mind getting rid of. Viduka, obviously, with this it's sort of suspension coming up, a lot of money to have in my team. So him and Ian Hart. I've had enough of Ian Hart for quite a while. I've just not got round to getting rid of him.
No.
I've had other important fires to put out. But yeah, what I maybe look at is maybe Hart to Hippier and then Viduka to whoever I fancy in terms of forwards. What I'd like to do long term would be to get in Veron, but to do that, I'd need to remove probably Chadwick or Neville, because obviously I've got RVN as well, and obviously you can only have 3 United players. While Chadwick is playing, he's not really doing anything.
No, he's picking up the odd assist, which, you know, I'm fairly happy with it as price point. But yeah, like you say, Veron is going off at the moment. And yeah, it's a player that I want. And I've got both my 3 hits intact, and obviously I've got my second wild card. And I think, yeah, when I do eventually decide to wild card, I think there's some good fixture swings coming up. Inevitably, I think I'm going to go back and bring Veron in, because I'm missing out on some quite substantial holes now.
Yeah, he's been very consistent, which has sort of been a worry for me, really. I myself got 68 points this week. Very disappointed with Jääskeläinen, and whoever I play out of Jääskeläinen and Sullivan always gets less points. This time, -1 for Jääskeläinen.
Yeah.
De Boer went well, 16 points for myself. Viduka on 12. A decent captaincy return for RVN for myself. I'm glad I didn't go Davies with the double.
Yeah.
That would have been shit. The one little mistake, I guess, it's not really a mistake, because I don't think I was ever going to play Wally based on the front 7 I had available to me. But yeah, 16 points on my bench from all those assists.
Yeah. Massive.
Not good.
No, not at all. I think, yeah, with the double game week in mind, obviously, both of us looked to bring in Spurs. I brought in Rebrov and Davies. Couldn't have gone any different, to be honest. Yeah, Rebrov captaincy got me 28 points. Pretty decent, although still a little bit disappointed, given, you know, the likes of De Boer, you know, outscored him, and Brian fucking Hughes matched him. Like, got basically saved my game week in that second game. Got himself 14 points. Fucking buzzing, mate. But whereas, yeah, Davies obviously missed out completely, which was frustrating. Got 3 points. Pretty shit. But in a way, I gambled against going Selakovic, and it paid off. I got lucky. But yeah, fair to say, I was quite pleased and celebrating a little bit inside when I saw Selakovic did fuck all this double. Given the sim data and stuff, really showed that I think it was him and Revrov were very likely to go off. So not all is lost, however. I think Selakovic seems to perform really well again in sim data this week in that Leeds fixture. So for those that have got him and have held, could be pretty decent. We'll have to wait and see. I have, however, fucked up a little bit, because I haven't had the time this week to put out any community questions, and I do apologise. Between the puppy, work, tiredness, it's no excuse, guys. It's not what you expect, but I haven't got any questions this week, so I'll have to make sure that I make up for it next week. I'll put it out really early, and I'm expecting at least, what do you say, at least 10 questions next week, James. Do you think that's all right?
10?
Yeah, let's go 10.
10's quite a lot. I mean, I was thinking 6, but yeah, why not?
Yeah, fuck it. But yeah, no, I'll post it nice and early next week. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed the pod, our usual breakdown of the game week. And remember that it is a Friday deadline for FPL this week, obviously with that Fulham Wolves fixture. So get those teams locked in, and I look forward to seeing your wildcard team, James.
Yeah, you will. I hope you're scared.
We'll see. I've got a decent gap, so it should be all right. Right. On that note, it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Good luck, everyone.